Do this every morning, and you'll stop waking up at night to urinate. I know that sounds too simple. You've been waking up 3, 4, sometimes 5 times every night for months or years, and I'm telling you one morning routine changes it. But here's why this works when everything else you've tried hasn't. Most approaches focus on reducing fluid intake or taking supplements. Those help slightly, but they don't address the actual mechanism causing your bladder to send false urgency signals at night. This does, and you'll notice the difference within 7 days. Let me explain exactly what's happening and why this specific approach works. When you wake up multiple times at night, your bladder isn't actually full. It's only 30 to 40% full, sometimes less. But your prostate is pressing against the bladder wall, creating mechanical pressure that your brain interprets as urgency. That pressure signal overrides the normal threshold. Your brain thinks bladder is full, time to empty, so you wake up, you go to the bathroom, you urinate a small amount, and you realize it wasn't that urgent after all. 2 hours later, the cycle repeats. The issue isn't fluid volume, it's pressure sensitivity. Your bladder has become hyperreactive to even slight pressure from the enlarged prostate pressing against it. Here's what changes everything. Every morning, immediately after you wake up and urinate for the first time, do 3 minutes of deep diaphragmatic breathing in a specific position. Lie flat on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the bed. Place one hand on your chest, one hand on your lower abdomen. Breathe deeply through your nose for 4 seconds. Your lower abdomen should rise significantly while your chest barely moves. Hold for 2 seconds. Exhale slowly through your mouth for 6 seconds. Your abdomen should fall completely. Repeat for 3 minutes. 15 to 20 breath cycles. This does 3 specific things that directly address nighttime frequency. First, it releases chronic tension in your pelvic floor muscles. Most men over 60 carry significant tension in the pelvic floor without realizing it. These muscles surround your prostate, bladder, and urethra. When they're chronically tight, they compress everything in that region, including the bladder wall. That compression amplifies the pressure signals from your enlarged prostate, so your bladder becomes even more sensitive to filling. Deep diaphragmatic breathing in this specific position activates the parasympathetic nervous system and triggers pelvic floor relaxation. The muscles release tension they've been holding, sometimes for years. When that tension releases, the mechanical compression on your bladder decreases. Suddenly, your bladder can hold more volume before triggering urgency signals. Second, it resets intra-abdominal pressure dynamics. When you breathe shallowly into your chest all day, which most people do, you create chronic elevated pressure in your abdomen. That pressure pushes down on your bladder constantly. Combined with prostate pressure from below, your bladder is being squeezed from both directions. No wonder it sends urgency signals with minimal filling. Deep abdominal breathing for 3 minutes resets this pressure pattern. You're training your diaphragm to move fully again, creating proper pressure gradients, giving your bladder space to expand without constant compression. This effect lasts throughout the day, and it accumulates over multiple days. By day 7, your baseline intra-abdominal pressure is significantly lower than it was before you started. Third, it recalibrates your nervous system's interpretation of bladder signals. Your brain has learned to interpret even slight bladder pressure as urgent. That learning happened gradually as your prostate enlarged and nighttime waking became routine. But neuroplasticity works both directions. Your brain can unlearn hypersensitivity just as it learned it. The parasympathetic activation from deep breathing, combined with the physical experience of your bladder being less compressed, creates new sensory input. Your brain receives signals that say, bladder pressure exists, but it's not urgent. There's no threat, no need to wake up. Over 7 days of consistent morning practice, your nervous system recalibrates the urgency threshold. Signals that used to wake you up at 30% full now get filtered out as non-urgent until you reach 60 or 70% full. That's the difference between waking up 4 times and waking up once or not at all. If you want additional support beyond this breathing technique, some men have found natural approaches helpful for reducing prostate inflammation and pressure on the bladder. I've linked a resource below that covers what research shows about supporting prostate tissue health and reducing the mechanical pressure that contributes to nighttime frequency. The breathing technique alone makes a significant difference, but combined with other approaches, the results can be even more dramatic. Here's what to expect day by day, days 1 through 3. You probably won't notice much change yet. You're building the practice. Your pelvic floor is beginning to release, but the effect isn't strong enough to overcome years of learned urgency patterns. Day 4 or 5, most men notice they wake up 1 less time. Instead of 4 times, it's 3. Or instead of 3, it's 2. The improvement is modest, but unmistakable. Day 6 or 7, the cumulative effect becomes obvious. You're either waking up significantly less, or you're sleeping through stretches that used to wake you. Some men go from 4 times per night to once. Some go from twice to 0. After 2 weeks of consistent practice, the new pattern becomes established. Your pelvic floor maintains lower baseline tension. Your breathing remains diaphragmatic throughout the day. Your nervous system has recalibrated urgency thresholds. A few things make this even more effective. Do the breathing immediately after your first morning urination, while still in bed. That timing matters, because your bladder is empty and your pelvic floor is most responsive to relaxation cues in the morning. Stay consistent. 7 days of practice creates the initial change, but 3 weeks solidifies the new pattern. If you skip days, you lose momentum. Combine this with proper evening hydration timing. Stop drinking fluids 2 hours before bed. Not because you need less fluid, but because you want to reduce the volume component while the mechanical pressure component is being addressed. If you also do Kegel exercises, stop doing them for these 2 weeks. Kegels create pelvic floor tension. You're trying to release tension. They work against each other. This approach works for most men whose nighttime frequency is caused by prostate pressure on the bladder. It won't work if you have uncontrolled diabetes causing excessive urination. It won't work if you have a bladder infection or severe bladder dysfunction independent of prostate issues. If you try this consistently for 2 weeks and see 0 improvement, that tells you something else is contributing beyond just mechanical prostate pressure. In that case, talk to your doctor about other possible causes. But for the majority of men over 60, whose nighttime waking is related to BPH and bladder sensitivity, this creates noticeable improvement within a week. 3 minutes every morning. Flat on your back. Deep abdominal breathing. 15 to 20 breath cycles. That's the entire technique. Simple enough that you'll actually do it. Effective enough that you'll notice results. Comment below after you try this for 7 days. Tell me how many times you were waking up before and how many times you're waking up after. I want to hear your results. The resource about additional natural approaches for prostate pressure and nighttime frequency is linked below. But start with this breathing technique. 3 minutes tomorrow morning, then 3 minutes the next day. Build the streak, track your nighttime waking. See what changes. Let me know your questions. I read every comment.